Boxing is always delivering something of the unexpected. And coming out of the weekend of November 23rd, there was boxing available, but many may not have known this. But from France, there was a card that took place, and on the line was a super welterweight interim title. The participants were not very familiar to those of us on this side of the pond, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a good opportunity to catch some good boxing. Let's talk about what transpired. It was on ESPN, super welterweights. November 23rd, from Paris, France, the WBC silver title in the super welterweight division took place. The two combatants were gentlemen that on this side of the pond you may not be as familiar with, as Wade Ryan from Australia took on Bakary from France. 12-round scheduled fight, broadcast on ESPN, believe it or not. You can actually go into the ESPN queue to pull this fight up, to watch these gentlemen. When I had a chance to take a look at this fight, I noticed something straight away. Wade Ryan gave me so many recollections of Tim Tszyu that is unbelievable. Even watching him from the back as he's fighting, I am moved to believe that if he's from Australia, as said, he has sparred with Tim Tszyu. He has worked with Tim Tszyu in the gym. And he's a southpaw. He's 34 years of age and stands 5'10". There is something very familiar about he and the difficulties he ran into in this fight. And then when you see the difficulties that Tim Tszyu ran into when he fought just a few months ago. Listen, Bakary is a French fighter that, though we don't know a lot about him, he came into this particular fight bringing a record of 16-0 with 9 KOs. His height and reach are currently not available. However, when I look at this fighter, he seems to be a heads-up man who's orthodox and keeps his head off of center line, but he seems to drop his hands when he gets within range to punch, and he also smothers his work a great deal. But there was something specific that I noticed in his match against Ryan, and that was he threw more lead right hands than I've seen an orthodox fighter do against a southpaw in a very long time. And I don't believe that Ryan was prepared for that, because at some instances, Samaki was using the right hand almost like a range-finding jab. It kept Ryan off balance, never let Ryan get going with the power shots that he was trying to throw, which was primarily an overhand looping left. He didn't work behind the jab very well, and he seemed to be really undersized matched up against Samaki. When you look at the two together, Samaki presented the picture of possibly not just a middleweight, but maybe even a super middleweight in his size advantage over Wade Ryan. The fight was stopped in the 7th round due to Ryan indicating to his corner that he didn't want to continue after being dropped for the 2nd time in the fight. He was dropped in the previous round, the 6th round, by a barrage of punches by Samaki, and he sort of cowered to a knee. He got up to finish the round, but that was the beginning of the end. The beginning of Samaki imposing himself started as early as the 4th round. It was that round when he seemed to take an offensive against Wade Ryan, going after him more, applying more pressure, and being a bit physical when they got together and were tying up. I would like to see him again, and I would like to see him against a Western fighter, because I do believe there are holes in his game, but his athleticism is going to help him a great deal, and his strength. He sort of reminds me, or puts me in mind of, Richard Riapart from the UK. But it's not the style, but it's the physical presentation of the fighter. He doesn't use the jab enough for me, and he walks in, he bobs, he weaves, he dips, he ducks, but not behind a snapping jab, and he does that awful tactical means of boxing that I despise. He carries his left very low. And though he thinks he tucks his chin in the cradle of his chest and behind his shoulder, there are fighters who can get you out of that posture and position and nail you a shot. But in this matchup, he had the advantages. He's only 21 years of age. So being as young as he is and the physical specimen that he is, if he could get a hold of some more solid training and preparation, his future could look bright. And he's awfully big for a super welter. I could see this kid being a middleweight easily. But yet and still, he has a little ways to go. As it stands, there are fighters coming from the other side of the world who are starting to make an impact in boxing. And we've talked about this. The Western fighters are falling far behind. What I would like to see is some of our fighters take their shows on the road. Go over to France, go over to Italy, go over to Germany, go over to Australia. Start fighting on an international plane, because what that will do is it will not only get eyes upon you, but people will be able to notice what you bring when you come into the fights. Overall, Bakary was very good in his outing against Ryan Wade. But there is something to see when a young fighter like that, 21 years of age, and he has the world as his oyster. ESPN probably should put him on a prime event on an undercard. We'll see if that works out for him. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you get a chance to watch this fight on your own accord, let me know what your thoughts are about this up-and-coming junior welterweight. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.